The sky above the continent of Auren hung heavy, like a funeral shroud torn by ribbons of shadow, slithering like living veins between gray clouds. A strange silence weighed on the air, a low hum, almost a creak, echoed from the depths of the earth to the shattered peaks of the howling hills, where the biting wind carried the scent of cold iron and bitter ash. Cole was standing on a ledge of black stone, his tattered cloak whipping against his legs, revealing scars on skin long exposed to the chill. Before him, the horizon bent into a sea of restless shadows, where distant torches flickered like hungry eyes. Thousands, perhaps millions of them, servants of the Lords of Dusk, masters of a world that once sang under the warmth of the sun, his fingers calloused by the weight of weapons and battles. So many that he could no longer count, had not held an instrument in years. Now, they gripped the wood of the red staff, pulsing with echoes of voices he knew well, too well. A relic that remembered the power which once flowed through the veins of the now nearly extinct order of the Wardens of Lume. At his side, Veer, one of the last recruits to join their dwindling resistance, trembled. Her hood barely hid her wide green eyes, fixed on the army beyond the ravines, catching glimpses of distant flames. The broken harp in her hands, a relic of the Heralds of the Lume, hung limp, its strings severed like the threads of a life she had barely begun to understand, and might never fully know.
"How did it come to this?"
she asked, her voice a hoarse whisper swallowed by the wind. Cale turned his face, dust and grief carved into the lines of his skin, and let slip a crooked smile, more tired than bitter, between the scars on his lips.
"Not with glory, girl. With choices. With promises we didn't break. And love for those who didn't want it."
He closed his eyes, and the distant roar of darkened hosts gave way to an older sound, a soft chant, woven from memories neither wind nor despair could smother or silence. Ares' presence lingered there, her voice a silver thread among the myriad of laments, singing as she once did at the festivals of a brighter hour.
"It began before,"
he said, his voice low, almost a growl, as if afraid the words might scare her away.
"Before the shadows, before the sky cracked and called us. I traveled with heralds, spreading the songs of Lume in stone plazas, alive with people and cultures of every kind. Faces that could not see what I saw, and murmuring woods, with trees so tall and beautiful they would make this mountain feel small. They whispered secrets I never wanted to hear. Leora played her rebec under thatched roofs, her eyes always searching for something beyond, and her voice filled the air with a joy that made us forget the weight." Caius laughed too loud. He challenged the winds with crooked verses that made the loom dance, always with his mug in hand, a jest ready to lift our spirits. He made everything seem effortless, even when it never truly was. And Aerie, she sang beside me, beneath stars that hid nothing.
The staff in his hand trembled, as if another still held it. The wood turned warm, like blood, and he heard her lament, not as in his dreams, but now a voice among the others, so clear he nearly reached out to embrace her. Behind him, the ravines groaned. Cracked earth spat cold vapor in ghostly spirals, reeking of sulfur and decay. Twisted trees, their leaves black and bark brittle, seemed to bend beneath Auren's grief. They still remembered. At the distance, a pale river cut the darkness like a scar, a muddy ribbon carrying remnants no one dared name.
When the dawn came,
Ka'el continued, his fists clenched on the staff.
A light tore the sky. It was a sweet song, gently pulling us, promising an end to the suffering. We felt it. A melody that promised peace. beckoning us to join. But I looked at Ari. Her head shook slowly. Her gaze met mine from the corner of her eyes. "I can't," she said. "What about them?" She looked at the lost ones, the blind crowd, laughing and weeping under lies they never saw. Innocent people. She would never leave them behind. She would never do that. And so, she said no. Leora said no. She wouldn't leave her family. Not with her little sister newly found, unaware the sky was even changing. And Caius, he just thought it'd be more fun to stay, smiling, like he was making a bet he already knew he'd win. He looked at us and said, "What would you do without me to clean up the mess?" And I stayed for her.
Veer shifted in her corner, giving him room. He stepped closer.
And then the light faded, a fleeting glow that vanished, taking the chosen with it, in trembling sparks of light. They danced in soft spirals toward the sky, to nest in Elira's gentle arms, an ethereal refuge, where peace still sang. And we remained, anchored to this wounded earth, beneath the weight of a world that forgot how to shine. And then the lords came, with serpentine voices and iron hands. They raised this rotting dome, you see. No light, no warmth, no joy, and no music. They wanted to silence us. They wanted to be sure she would never sing again.
A shrieking cry cut through the air, serpents hissing in the skies, hunting their prey. Ko opened his eyes, and the look he cast at Veer burned like hot hammered iron, making her flinch, curling up in the corner, fingers clutching the harp.
Now we are here, few against the impossible, to sing or to break. But yes, because we chose.
The wind howled, carrying the first clear lament of the voices. Kyle stepped forward, his voice cutting the darkness like a blade.
You want to know how it started, Veer? Then listen.